Hello and welcome to CZ Initiative. Today we're going to be unboxing and building a Deimos Pattern Predator, as well as talking a little bit about the history of the kit. So I hope you enjoy, and let's get on with it. So what do you get inside the box? So to start with, you've got the standard Horus Heresy vehicle upgrade sprue, featuring a selection of pintle mounted weapons, the dozer blade, and a crew member in Mark II armor. This is a great sprue. You get it in every vehicle kit as far as I've seen so far, and it's got loads of applications, so I'm happy to have several of these spare. Next you get the main part of the Predator upgrade sprue with the basic section of the turret mounting section, and the two side plates, which are a variation on what you get for the Rhino. They're for mounting the sponson weapons on. You also get the variant front plate, which replaces the Rhino front plate. Following that, we have a sprue of the pintle mounted weapons for the Predator. This is the same as the one you get in the Sakaran and the Kratos battle tank. Again, it's fantastic. It's pretty easy to magnetize, well designed, goes together really well, and has a great selection of weapon options. We've then got, this one's quite interesting, so it's a separate sprue for the 4 Predator turret weapons, which makes me think there'll probably be a second Predator kit with another sprue with the missing options. So off the top of my head, that's the conversion beamer, the plasma cannon, the flamestorm cannon, I think it is, and there is one more, I forgot, the big melter. So I wouldn't be surprised to see another sprue of that showing up at some point. This one has the Gravis las cannon, graviton cannon, the main auto cannon, and the Volkite weapon, which I will be using on this Predator. And then finally, in terms of plastic, you get the actual Rhino sprue. This features all the parts you need for the track sections and the bottom plate of a Rhino. And then based on what tank you've bought, you get basically a different version of an upgrade sprue. So yeah, that's all great. Obviously you get an instruction manual. This is really well laid out. And finally, the Imperial Fists and Sons of Horus transfers. So yeah, it's a nice box packed full of plastic, and it's really well laid out. So as we start to assemble the kit, let's have a little chat about the history of this model. So the original Predator was released for the Rogue Trader era, or first edition of Warhammer 40k, back in 1989, just about a year after the original Rhino kit. As you can see, this is actually quite a simple sprue for considering the time it was released. Some elements of it are actually very similar. There's a huge number of design elements that are carried over into the modern Predator design, including the curved turret and the sponson design, and I'm sure this is very deliberate. Sure, you can see currently on screen I am just assembling the track sections as per the instructions. So the next Predator was for 2nd edition, and this came in 2 variants, both metal models, the Predator Destructor and the Predator Annihilator. There was also a Chaos Predator, including the current available Spiky Bit sprue, which was actually the first metal and plastic kit that I ever owned. So going back to the assembly of this kit, a issue I've had with the current Horus Heresy plastic Rhino-based vehicles is that the floor plate doesn't fit properly with the track sections. Now, one of my friends has told me that he's managed to make it work, and I'm sure there probably is a way. However, all I've been doing is heavily filing it down until it fits properly. I've been using a very coarse file that I bought from the Army Painter. It doesn't look pretty, but I'm not planning on having an opening back door, so the interior detail doesn't matter that much to me. There is also a really similar problem with the rear door, where the joints basically don't fit in the gaps made for them. And this is maybe more severe than the floor plate. So as you can see, it's slightly sped up footage, but I am filing down the pins to fit into the back door, and I'll just be gluing that on like normal. So here you can see the main assembly of the kit, putting the floor plate into the side plate or pieces. This is pretty much the same if you've assembled any of the modern Rhino or Predator kits, just with better detail. It's interesting to see how many holdovers there are between this and the current 40k Predator. But I suppose the Forge World Deimos Predator was entirely based on the current day Rhino. Which I say that it was released roughly 20 years ago. I should probably look up the dates. But we're getting to that now anyway. So going back to the history of the Predator kit, in 2002, Games Workshop produced a new Rhino. This has been probably built by every 40k player about 5 times or more. And about a year later, they released the Predator kit. This is a pretty good kit, but it is showing its age nowadays. One of the issues was the sponson weapons are extremely fragile, and I don't think any of the ones that I've ever owned have ever had intact sponsons. In addition to this, there were 2 variants released, the Bile Predator and the Chaos Predator, which included the same spiky bit sprue as the old version. Fun aside to this, I did actually convert the old metal parts with the current Predator kit to make an early Horus Heresy model before the Deimos current model was released. So as you can see now, I am just assembling the track sections of this kit properly. It's a little bit more involved than the older Rhino or Predator kit, but it does go together a lot more easily once you sort of get the idea of it. And I really like the blank track sections. Obviously this is a kit that is meant to be used in Loyalist and Traitor armies, so the lack of Imperial Eagles on all of the track sections is excellent. And really sort of makes it match the Land Raider Proteus and the Sikaara and the other Heresy era vehicles much better than the current kit did. Just adding the front plates now as well. This is obviously very similar to the original Predator kit, which I can guarantee is completely deliberate, but I don't need to tell you that. So as you can see, the model is really starting to take shape, although apparently it's just off camera at the moment because this is my first attempt to film a assembly video and I clearly haven't got it right. But it's really beginning to look like it's supposed to. Moving on to one of the parts I absolutely hate about all of these kits, and I mean, it'd be wrong if they didn't have them, but the engine vents, they're a pain to put together, they're a pain to paint. They do look good when they're finished, but I just generally hate them. So yeah, as you can see on screen now, I'm assembling those. They come in 2 sections, so they're really nicely molded. And it's just sort of an evil we have to do to assemble these models. So the next thing that was produced for the Predator was the Forge World Deimos Pattern Predator. So this is almost identical to the model we have now. It was half resin, half Forge World, came in about 6 variants, 2 of which are available in the current model. And it was an absolute pain to put together. It was half plastic, half resin. The resin parts always came warped. It was an involved thing to assemble. I'm very happy that we now have a full plastic kit, which looks great. So we now move on to the assembling of the turret. So one thing that happens a lot with Horus Heresy models, and I was intending to do with this one, is magnetization. Obviously it comes with 4 different variants, as well as I think 4 weapon options for the sponsons, and there's a lot of scope to magnetize the model and have it available for all separate different types. However, the back part of the turret has different like power pack options. So you could just build it with the box for the autocannon setup. However, I wanted it to look a bit fancier. The new Volkite weapon options is something that hasn't been seen on a Predator before, and my current army has a lot of anti-tank options, so I felt actually I'm going to assemble this properly. So I decided to glue the whole thing as is, so I've gone with the Volkite Macro Saker and the 2 Volkite Culverins in the sponsons, which makes for an excellent anti-infantry weapon, which I'm sure my friends are going to love. So yeah, I decided to glue it all together, and I'm happy with that. I haven't put too much glue on the parts, so if I need to change it around at some point, I'm sure I could do, but that won't be such an easy process of just taking the magnets off. And yeah, so the turret is almost identical. It looks great. It goes together very easily, as does the weapons. And I think the weapons look really cool. So as mentioned earlier, it comes with 4 different weapons in this model. You get the autocannon, which is the standard weapon. You also get the Volkite Culverin, a Gravis las cannon, which doesn't entirely fit with the old Horus Heresy background, but I don't really mind. It's a very minor retcon to put what is basically a Predator Annihilator into the game. And in addition, you get a Graviton cannon, which isn't my favourite weapon. I think it looks very cool. I just don't think it's going to be very effective on the battlefield, so I haven't really thought too much about it. However, all the options I think are quite viable. But personally, I wanted the cool looking Volkite weapon. It's basically just rule of cool. So now I'm just assembling the weapon sponsons. Again, these are quite easy to magnetize. It probably would be quite nice to be able to swap them around, but as I mentioned earlier, I chose not to do that. I do have the magnets. I actually bought them for this kit, and in the end decided against it. So when assembling these, I put a dot of super glue inside the weapons with the intention of making them a bit more movable, and unfortunately that didn't really work. So they are stuck facing forward. You'll see me trying to demonstrate in a minute how they move, and they did for a short while, and then the super glue dried properly. So that's a bit of a failure on my part, but it still looks good. But yeah, it's a overall very nice kit. Goes together in about 2 hours. Obviously this is sped up footage. There's a lot of boring parts of me clipping bits off sprue that I took off and didn't film because that's not very interesting. But yeah, it's a nice evening project to put together. Not too involved, but challenging enough, basically. So now you'll be able to see me absolutely failing to put the thing together. Just putting the final top hatch on the turret. And it's going to fall off in a minute because I'm terrible at filming these things. And just attaching the last sponsons. Oh, there it goes. One thing I did forget to film putting on was the big front dozer blade, which I don't know how effective it is for something that's going to be mostly static, but it does look very cool. Very great callback to the original model. So I will be paying the points for it, even if I don't move this vehicle very much. And finally, here are the 2 finished Predators. So one thing that I failed to mention in this video is I actually have 2 of these. And it is a great looking tank. I can't wait to paint it up. I can't wait to field it in a game. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you did, and hopefully I'll be doing some more, and enjoy.